I'm Gary Nickerson.
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
And this is Outside My Window. There are many decisions in life that are difficult and emotional. One of those that most people have to face is how to care for a loved one who is entering the final stages of life. But that journey does not have to be made alone. The Yarmouth County Hospice Society partners with several organizations and services to provide palliative and end-of-life hospice care services with a focus on comfort care for the patient and families. Willard Dion is chair of the Yarmouth County Hospice Society. Willard, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you.
So when was the society formed and how did it all come about?
The society was started in 2004. There were 9 founding members, some of which had family members experience end of life in the Yarmouth Hospital. And at that time, basically, when you went into the hospital and you were assigned a bed and you were end of life, you stayed in that same bed. There was no comfort for no extra comfort for the family. There was hard chairs for the family and just a regular bed. And what the founding members wanted was to create a hospice, an area either in the hospital or outside the hospital at that time, where there would be, comfort for the patient, end-of-life patient, and also more importantly, or just as important, comfort for the families that would have to stay with that person, probably 12 to 24 hours a day.
The society has forged some very important and strong partnerships. So who are your partners and how does each contribute?
Well, we partner with, first of all, the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation. The Yarmouth Hospital Foundation has its own, mandate. They service the 3 counties, and they focus on everything within the hospital. The Hospice Society focuses only on 7 rooms, which are placed in the hospital, and we focus on the comfort of the families and the patient in those rooms. So we focus on just the Hospice Society. So we can address some of the concerns that the nurses have on 4 North a little bit quicker than the Hospital Foundation. That's one of the partners. The other partner is the VON. Not everybody who is palliative care or not everybody who is end of life wants to go in the hospital. Some people, if they have family support, and you need a large family, basically, if they wish to stay at home, then they get help from the VON. VON has certain needs like oximeters and pain pump pouches and stretchers, whatever, and we've been able to supply them with some of their needs.
So what's the threshold when it comes to the Hospice Society? What designates a patient to be in need of your services?
Okay, there's a gray area, and first of all, I'm not a medical person, so I'm just going to give you the layman's term. Palliative care starts when a person is diagnosed with a terminal disease. So a person that has to take dialysis, they are really on palliative care, and it could be cancer, it could be something else, but they take treatment and they continue on their lives, with taking treatment. If at some point a person on treatment decides they are no longer going to take treatment, treatment is not being effective, they don't take treatment, or a person who is diagnosed far enough in stage, far enough in the disease that they don't want to take curative treatment, then they go into hospice care. So it's a gray area about when you leave palliative care and when you enter hospice care. So sometimes hospice care could be a couple of days. Sometimes it could be a couple of weeks. We know, I've been kind of keeping an eye on Jimmy Carter, ex-president of the U.S., went into hospice care, well over a month ago. He's still going. I know of people that went 8 weeks. And some people will only go a couple hours. So it's a gray area. But there are 7 rooms within 4 North. That's 14 or 15 rooms, I think, in 4 North. 7 rooms are dedicated to hospice care. And we had a meeting with staff last week, and they tell us, the beds are always used. If they are not used by hospice care patients, then they can put a palliative care patient. And if there's no palliative care patient, which is probably very unusual, they can put a medical person in those beds. So if you have a hospital running at 140% capacity, there's not that many empty beds. So to answer your first question is nursing staff in combination with the patient, in combination with the family, decides when a patient goes from palliative care to hospice care, but it's a gray line.
Now, with our population locally, Willard, aging at the rate that they are we short on resources? Should we have more than just 7 rooms?
We've talked to the Nova Scotia Health about that, and right now, the number is adequate. We asked that question, and they say right now the number is adequate. But we've also asked for some stats, because we've been making applications recently to the local governments, the municipal governments, the 3 in Yarmouth County and adjacent Barrington and Clare municipalities. And whenever we make an application, they all ask, are you treating our patients? Are you treating our residents? Sorry. And we can say yes, but we don't know to what extent. So we've asked for some stats, and they said they will give us some stats. So we will know that over a year, so many people went into hospice care, and they were from here and they were from there, and so on and so on. But what we were told last week is that the 7 hospice beds are adequate for now. Yes.
And where would be the nearest other hospice care facility? Does every hospital allocate rooms and space for that?
No. There are 3 freestanding hospice buildings in Nova Scotia. There's one in Cape Breton, one in Halifax, and one in Kentville. And they all have 10 beds. So that's 30 beds that are dedicated to hospice care in standalone buildings. There's another 22 or so, according to my last meeting with the Nova Scotia Hospice Palliative Care Association. I've asked the question, how many hospice beds are there? And so they came back with those first 30, and then we have 7, and then there's 7 more in the hospital in Cape Breton, and there is 7 in New Glasgow. So I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it totals right now about 52 hospice beds in Nova Scotia, 30 of which are in hospices, freestanding units.
Just doesn't seem like enough.
Well, that's what they, that's what we go by. That's what we can, like I said, we've asked a question because we are planning ahead. We are planning ahead. We want to find out, because it took 15 years. The society started in 2004, and it was 2019 before they got the 7 hospice rooms approved. And then it took another year or so, a year and a half, because of COVID, to put the rooms in place. And so we've asked the question, moving forward, when are we looking for more beds, or are we going to be looking for more beds? So we've asked the question, and that's still being worked on.
You sort of answered the question, I think, but the Yarmouth Hospital is a regional hospital, so you are taking in people that are from the region.
Yes.
And so with that in mind, of course, reporting back into the different municipal units, do they provide you with additional funding towards the society in general? Like where does your money come from?
Well, a lot of it is grants. Like I said, we've got grants from the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation. We got a grant to the first cuddle bed. Well, let me back up. We spent about $145,000 to date. Okay, $120,000 was to refurbish those 7 rooms in the hospital, And by refurbishing, we mean, they were redone. And then we've added folding beds for family support members. Each family room has a smart TV, and that was that's a very nice thing that was done, because that allows a person to communicate with family. And of course, it was very important during COVID, because very few people could visit, and even none could visit probably at some times. So that the smart TVs enable them to set up with a phone or an iPad, and talk to your friends. And then we bought blinds, quilts, and lamps. And then we bought a cuddle bed, and the cuddle bed is a larger bed that widens, and it allows a couple to cuddle, or it allows family members to, if they're younger, children, to sit with their parents, to lay down in the bed with their parents. So the other thing that we provided was a family room, because, as I said before, there was no comfort for the families before. You had to sit in a hard chair, and there was nothing else, provided. So now we have in 4 North, we have a family room, and we furnished it, and we provided a service cart, a mini fridge, a coffee machine, a kettle, lamps, water pitchers, and coffee mugs. So some of those last items were actually donated by local businesses, but in total, to date, we spent about $145,000. A lot of it was grants. Some very generous donors, gave good amounts of dollars. Um, we have now purchased 2 more cuddle beds. The cuddle bed number 2 was a straight grant from the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation, and that bed is on order. Bed number 3 is also on order, and that was partly by the Hospital Foundation and partly from us, because we had some money set aside for education within the Hospital Foundation. And when the pandemic hit, everything stopped. Nobody was going to courses, and no conferences were being held. So anyway, we asked to reallocate the money that was set aside for education. We asked to reallocate it for a 3rd cuddle bed, and they did that. But we said on the condition that our funds would then pay for education. So actually, as we speak right now, there are in about 2 weeks' time, there are 4 nurses and 1 volunteer that will be going to a special course for end of life or grief counseling in Antigonish, and we are covering some of their expenses. So to answer your first question, yeah, we get a lot of money from grants. Some are indirect grants. And more recently, to go back to your question about the municipal groups, we've sent in an application to the town of Yarmouth, to the municipality of Yarmouth County, to the municipality of Argyll, and we requested $5,000 from each, and that would be to partially fund a 1 more cuddle bed. And the reason we picked 5,000, because 5,000 seems to be the maximum amount that they give out. So we would use our funds to come up with the other $5,000 or $6,000, because the bed costs anywhere between $20,000 and $21,000, depending on how many beds you order. And so we would pay the extra $6,000. And in addition, just in February, we applied to the Red Cross. The federal government had a $400 million recovery fund for service community service groups like ours that were not able to raise money during COVID. They have a fund, so we've applied for another $20,000 to fund another cuddle bed. So right now we've got three cuddle beds in, and 2 more that we've applied for.
Maybe, Willard, for our audience that may not understand what that is, what is a cuddle bed?
A cuddle bed is a hospital bed that can be made wider and allows a couple to cuddle. So it sleeps 2 people.
But it still has all the adjustments, raised, yeah.
Is actually a bariatric bed. Is made for large people. That's what it's made for. but is also used to put two people in there. And there have been some instances recently, here in Yarmouth, where in one case, not not everyone that dies is end of life is over 85 years old. There was one instance where there was a person dying, and he or she, we don't know, had children that were in there. Children weren't very old, and even a dog. The hospital allowed the dog to come in, so you're able to lay with the person. Now, of course, you don't stay in that bed 24 hours a day, but it allows a person to cuddle. And in one case, uh, there was a couple. There was a man that was dying, and he was really bad off, and his wife wanted to lay with him. So the cuddle bed was available. So rather than bring the couple to four north, they were able to get the bed because it's just regular size, wheel it out the room, and go wherever that couple was, go with them, and they cuddled for 2 hours before he died, and then they brought the bed back to 4 North.
Now, when you think back before the Hospice Society was in play, how much of a morale boost has it been to have the society in place, and with all the great work that you guys are doing? How do you think that helps the families and the patients themselves from a mental standpoint?
I think it helps a lot. Just the fact that we've got furniture in there, that you can sit in without being a hard plastic chair. That helps a lot. Just some minor simple things. Just a service cart. You know what a service cart is? It's just a little cart on wheels that you put your sandwiches and your tea and everything else on. So the nurses asked for a service cart, and we were able to get that to them. It was approved by the board, and I was able to make an order on a Thursday on a long weekend, and the service cart was delivered on the Tuesday. That's
Wow.
how quickly we got the service cart. So what I'm saying is that, we do have partners, but if something is required very, very quickly, we're probably the one that can get it the quickest. So along with the service cart, they said, why don't could we get some mugs? And the reason they wanted some mugs is that, if you can imagine, when you're pushing stuff on the floor and you got those styrofoam cups, they're pretty flimsy and they tip over. And for $45, we were able to get 12 mugs, and that was a real bonus to the nurses, who have to cart stuff around.
It's the little things that can make a big difference.
Just the little things, and the smart TV, the fact that they can connect an iPad or a phone, whatever, and talk to family, that came in very handy during the pandemic. And now that the families are coming in, just last week I got a request to see if we could find folding chairs, because when there's only I think there's a double bed and a chair, so there's only sitting room for three or four people, and you get a large family. So what they've requested now is 8 folding chairs, and that's what I'll be getting approval for from the board next week, that we can buy 8 folding chairs, and the nurses, will pull them out when they need them, and when they not don't need them, they fold, and they can put them away in a storage space.
Do you have a running wish list of items that you're looking for, just in case anybody that's listening is thinking, geez, I'd love to be able to help. What can I do?
Yeah, we've had a list, and but basically we've pretty well fulfilled it. We've fulfilled everything now. Uh, For example, the VON, when we went to the VON, they wanted oximeters. Oximeters allows a person to measure the oxygen level. And that one, we got money from a request. We put a request into the Yarmouth Hospital Foundation. We got $2,500, and the VON was able to purchase 40 oximeters. And then they came back just recently with, again, just we said, do you have a wish list? And they came back with pain pump pouches. People that are on pain pumps need to be mobile. and the pain pumps come with a pouch that you can tie to your body or somewhere, and then you're mobile. But the pouches don't last as long as the pain pumps. So they were running out. So they wanted 20. When we checked with them, they wanted 20, and they cost about $300 a piece. So that was $6,000. So we agreed that we would buy 10, and we've done that. We ordered them and we paid for them, and then trying to get the other communities involved, along with requesting 5,000 from Yarmouth County, and Argyll. We also went to Clare and Barrington, and we requested that they fund 5 pain pump pouches each. So that's $1,500 for Clare and for Barrington. So that's under review right now. And the other thing that the VON wanted was a mattress. They have a stretcher in their office here in Yarmouth, and some people are very weak. Some people come to a clinic. When they have a clinic, they stop for a long time, but now the clinics are starting, and the mattress was wearing out. So we purchased a mattress, and the mattress was just purchased and just delivered a few weeks ago, and they are just starting their clinics right now. And the mattress was only $500. It was not that big an amount. So so there's nothing right now that I can come up to say this is what we need. But but we have a web page. People can go to the web page and they can make a donation. Yeah, you can make a donation through a donation button, or you can write a check, or whatever. That's what we prefer: a check or a donation. And then we have a budget. So like I said, I think last year we spent over $10,000, buying stuff and things like that. And now another thing that we're looking at, is in the future, so we want to put some money aside just in case something happens 5 years from now that we need more beds. We don't want to be out there looking for money. We want to have money maybe set aside.
We often associate end of life options with a hospital or perhaps a long term care facility, Willard. But what is available to a person who wishes and is able to remain in their own home for their last days?
Then they deal with the VON. The VON would be the one that they start off with, and then there is also, we don't have the main issue right now in Yarmouth County is that we lost our palliative doctor. She left about a year ago, but there are some palliative nurses. So there are some palliative nurses that deal with outpatients, and then there are some palliative nurses that deal with 4 North. So anybody who wishes to stay home, then you would have to go through continuing care. You go through continuing care, and then you will get some assistance from VON. And then when it comes to real end of life, if VON has any issues, then they consult with the palliative care nurses.
What about a person who lives alone and who has no family nearby? That's often the case, especially as the family unit has changed over the years. Does that same process and critique apply to that particular patient?
Yes, yeah. What we're having on May 9th, we are going to be having not we, but the palliative care the palliative care unit at the hospital is having an engagement session at Jacob's Loft at Sweeney's on May 9th in the evening. It's still being planned, so there will be some stuff coming out where they will explain exactly what you're asking about. They will explain the process of palliative care. So we've been asked to be there. We have a display and we have our reports. We can say what we do, but anybody who's really interested in the palliative care session, should attend this session on May 9th. I think it's in the evening, but like I said, I haven't seen any promotions yet, but in the next week or so, I expect that we'll start seeing some promotions. So there are 3 palliative care nurses that handle Yarmouth County. one goes to Digby, and one goes to Barrington. So that's 5 palliative care nurses that do outpatients, and then there are the palliative care nurses within 4 North.
The Yarmouth County Hospice Society has had some major accomplishments at Willard over the last few years, and I'm thinking of the pain pumps and of course the renovations to the 4th floor. That must made a huge difference for you folks and your partners.
Oh yeah, I think it did, and we have to give credit. There were nine founding members that started this in 2004. Some have left the board. 2 left last year. Shirley Hubbard, who was the chair, she was the driving force behind this, and Dr. Leger. They both retired last year, and we still have 2 founding members: Bruce Johnson, who was a pharmacist, and Brian Noble, who was a school teacher, retired, and politician. They are still on the board. So those people, have witnessed, going from having nothing to where we are now, and we need to give them a lot of credit, because when you read the minutes, I've gone through all the correspondence from the last 15 years when I took over as chair. Well, actually, I was secretary for a while, so I went through the minutes, and there was some, as they call it, 3 steps forward and 2 steps backwards for a while. But they persevered, and in July of 2019 is when they got authorization from the Nova Scotia Health to proceed with the 7 rooms.
We're all going to face death. That's a certainty. Your experience over the years with the Hospice Society, and I know everyone is different. How do folks deal with that? How do folks face the fact that they've only got so much time left? And obviously, that's where the society and its partners come in for that emotional support.
Yeah, that I can't answer. That's beyond what I do. You would have to ask the 4 nurses and the doctors. We don't get involved with what's going on. We never meet patients. We just supply the needs that they require.
But the society must be very proud of the work that you're doing.
Yeah, we are, and actually, we've gained membership. For the longest while. Membership was very low, and now we have a full board. For the first time, we actually have a full board, and we've got society members too. We have a bylaw that says if you live within Yarmouth County, you can become a member, and we're getting that, and moving down the road, I wouldn't be against expanding that membership to anybody in Tri-County, because I don't think hospice is just a Yarmouth County issue. The hospital deals with the Tri-County, and it wouldn't take much of a change in the bylaw to just rename it and say that to become a society member, you have to live within the Tri-Counties. But no, we are seeing more people come in now. We've got people. Our secretary used to work in the hospital. We have a person that used to work in hospice in Ontario, and so on. So I can't name them all, but actually, yeah, people are getting excited, and we're increasing our membership. And now we have a website, and this podcast. The real issue with the Hospice Society when it opened up is that we were not a car dealership opening up. We couldn't go out there and advertise and turn the floodlights on to say the Hospice Society is open. It opened during the pandemic, or it opened during the pandemic, and there was very little said about it. But from talking to the nurses, as time proceeds, even the doctors, were not fully aware that there was a Hospice Society. So now they said they are getting some referrals. Sometimes when a patient comes in the hospital, the doctor says this patient should go to hospice or should go to palliative care, as opposed to a general medical room. So we are gaining some publicity.
I can't imagine anybody in this area that has either been touched directly or friends or indirectly by an end of life situation. I think everybody can just sort of sit back and say, yeah, you know what, I can relate to that. So I mean, that should bode well in the long term for people to support this sort of activity.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, you don't appreciate what's there now unless you know what it was like before.
That's true.
That's the real thing. We went through that I went through that with my in-laws. 5, 6 years ago. Someone had to sit there with her, with my mother-in-law. In a hard chair. And so on and so on, and the yeah. So you have to experience what it was like before to know to appreciate what was there now. And actually, we had a display in the hospital, and one of the staff that helped me set it up said that 17 years ago, and this woman was probably in the 40s or so, that 17 years ago, when her grandmother died, she stayed one night with her in the hospital, and this girl slept on the floor. So now if you have to stay over with someone in hospice care, there's a bed. It's a fold-out bed. One or two are doubles, and the other ones are singles. So now a family member can stay and sleep, and if it's not a cuddle bed, then you stay in the folding cot.
I know that I believe I saw recently that you were the beneficiary of some money from the 100 Men That Care. Is that earmarked for something specific, or are you just kind of banking that for now, just in case something comes up?
No, we're earmarking it. We're earmarking it for some of the things that we're doing right now. If we get the $15,000 from the 3 local municipalities for a $21,000 or $20,000 bed, then we would take some of that money and go towards that. We probably put money towards the folding chairs, and I forget there now. There was a couple of things that have happened. So yeah, that money will be put aside for those things, and we are putting some money aside for long term too. We are taking some of the money that we get, putting it aside for long term, just in case 5 years from now, 2 years from now, whenever something happens that we need more beds or whatever we need. So we are putting some money aside, but the $12,600 that we got from the 100 Men Who Care will probably most of it will go towards some of the needs that we have right now, instead of using our own funds.
You have, or I should say, the Society has a fundraiser coming up, don't you?
Yes, we have a fundraiser planned right now for September 23rd. It will be held at the Grand Hotel. We have a 3-course meal, and Betty and Maynard, or Bet, I'm not sure if it's Betty or Betty Maynard from Cape Breton, a sketch comedy duo, will be providing entertainment, and we are going to be having a live and a silent auction, all to raise money for the Hospice Society.
That sounds like a great night.
Yeah, I think we need that. It's been a long time since people were able to get together, and I think a 3-course meal and entertainment, I think will go a long way in raising some money.
Have you done fundraisers like this before in the past?
Yes, there was a large one way before my time. That was a really large one. I'm not sure now. Probably 2011 or 10. They had a large one at the Grand Hotel. But afterwards, they've been smaller ones. Most of them, if not all of them, have been at the Lions Club. And the last one was just last September 30th. We had a small one where we had seafood chowder. We had seafood chowder and Catch 22 local entertainment, and that one there, I think we were able to get well over 100 people came to that one, and some people, of course, with COVID, didn't want to attend, but they either bought a ticket or they gave a donation equal to a ticket, and that one we were able to raise around just under $7,000.
Wow. That was a great night.
So I think we've had probably, like I said, I've only been involved for 2 years, but I think if I recall correctly, the society has had about 5 fundraisers. But this would be the first large one since the one that they had way back at the Grand Hotel some while ago.
We certainly want to give you an opportunity, Willard, to talk up your volunteers and how dedicated and that they are in helping out the Yarmouth County Hospice Society.
Yes, like I said, the membership is increasing. For a while there, we were hardly able to hold a meeting because we didn't have enough people. But people are stepping up now. I think having a website and having a Facebook page. We have a roll-up display, and a few people have gone to the mall and with the roll-up display, and we're not getting a whole lot of reaction, but we're seeing people stop by, and we're gaining membership. So yes, things are looking up.
There's lots of good information on your website, by the way. It's well done, the Facebook page. It's a great way for people to get more information, as you said, volunteer, and perhaps they want to help out with a donation as well.
Yes, yeah. Like I said, it's hard right now to put a list of needs. So the best way to get involved would be to go on the website. We are actually having our AGM, our annual general meeting, is actually at Jacob's Loft at Sweeney's this Monday, coming up May 1st. We're meeting at 5:30 with the AGM, and then we will follow up with the general board meeting. And like I said, the fundraiser is still being planned. So we will talk about the fundraiser at the AGM, and then we will work out details at the board meeting afterwards.
Willard, thank you so much for sharing the wonderful work that the Yarmouth County Hospice Society does for
Thank
folks
you.
in those final days. We appreciate your time very much.
Okay, good. Thanks.
I'm Gary Nickerson,
And I'm Quinn Taggart.
and this is Outside My Window.